The modern world is bad. It is inhumane, unfair, and unjust. This is the world of money. It is not for the people. It is for those who produce money, for bankers and financiers. And ordinary people just serve them as attendants. They sweep their palaces. What lies behind the social welfare? Labor. But why does the banker live in 100 and 1,000 times better than worker, than peasant? Why does wildcatter live better? All of them. Do they work harder? It's nonsense. It's ridiculous to say. They do not even produce anything. No material values. But why? Don't you know? Moreover, perhaps you wonder with all sincerity now, reading all of this. Well, banker and worker, simple hard worker like me or my neighbor Johnny? It cannot be compared. Banker is a bank, money, relations, and contacts. But who are we together with Johnny? Nobody. Naturally, the banker lives better than we do. But there is nothing natural here. The point is that everyone got used to this state of affairs, and they took it for granted.